Okay, now let's look at how to divide decimals. Now, dividing decimal numbers depends on the format of the quotient you're looking for. So there's two desired outcomes. Either you want a quotient with a remainder or a quotient as a mixed fraction, or you want a quotient that's a decimal number. So there's two slightly different set of rules that you follow depending on what it is you're looking for as far as your resulting answer. So we'll look at examples of both. So I've got, step one and step two, but I think I'll read step one and step two as I go through the example itself. So first, let's look at example part A. So this is going to be 0.06 divided into 25.65. Okay. So we're driving towards getting a quotient with a remainder or a mixed fraction quotient. So step one, in the dividend, move and record the number of decimal places to make a whole number. So the dividend is inside of the square root sign. I'm sorry, not the square root sign, just the division sign. And so we're going to move this decimal point to the right 2 times to give us a new decimal point position. And you'll see now with the decimal point moved from its original location to its new location, we now have a whole number of 2,565. And now we want to move the decimal point in the divisor the same number of decimal places. So because we moved the decimal point in the dividend 2 to the right, we need to move the decimal point 2 to the right in the divisor as well. So now we can move on to step 2. So now looking at the divisor, if the divisor is a whole number, which it is now, complete the division. So now we just need to go through and do our regular division here. So 6 does not go into 2, 6 goes into 25 4 times, and 4 times 6 is 24. And we're going to subtract those. So 25 minus 24 is a difference of 1. Drop down the 6. 6 will go into 16 at most 2 times, and 2 times 6 is 12. So the difference of 16 and 12 is 4. So now we'll drop down to 5. Now this is the last digit we can drop down before the decimal point. Whatever we have left is going to be our remainder. So 6 will go into 45 7 times, because 7 times 6 is 42. And 45 minus 42 is 3. So 3 is our remainder. So for an answer, we have 427 with a remainder of 3. So that's one way to write the quotient. Or we can write this as 427 and as a mixed fraction with the remainder over the divisor. So the remainder over the divisor. So this would be like a mixed improper fraction. We can simplify this down to 427, and 3 over 6 can be simplified to 1 over 2. So, we could write our quotient either of these two ways. But that's following these rules that we just now followed. So now let's look at this second example using the same steps. So let me write down. So we've got 25.65 divided by 10.002. Okay, step 1, in the dividend, move and record the number of decimal places to make a whole number. So kind of like last time, we're moving this over 2 to the right in the dividend. So we have to move the decimal place 2 to the right in the divisor. Okay, now let's move on to step 2. So if the divisor is a whole number, all right, so let's look. 1000.2, because it's a 0.2, that's not a whole number. So actually, we're going to follow these rules. If the divisor is not a whole number, that's what we got here, continue moving the decimal point to the right in both the divisor and the dividend until the divisor is a whole number. So to make the divisor a whole number, we have to move it one more time to the right, and we then have to move this decimal one more to the right, like that. And because we've got this gap now, we have to put 0 there as a placeholder, and this is where the decimal point of our quotient is going to be. So now what the division we're doing is we're doing 25,650 divided by 10,002. So now we can ask ourselves, how many times does 10,002 go into 25,650? It goes at most 2 times. And 2 times 10,002 will get us 20,004. So we'll subtract those. We have to borrow from this 5. We have to borrow 1 from that 5. That gives us a 4. And that will make this place a 10. And 10 minus 4 is 6. 4 minus 0 is 4. 6 minus 0 is 6. And 5 minus 0 is 5. So that's our remainder. And it looks funny because it's such a large number, but the remainder will always be between 0 and our divisor. So 5,646 is less than our divisor of 10,000. So this is our answer. We've got 10,002 with a remainder 5,646. That's if we wanted to write it in that form. Or if we wanted to write it in mixed fraction, it would be 10,002. And then the fraction part of the mixed number would be 5,646, which is the remainder all over the divisor, which is 10,002. And just like before, where this part of the mixed number wasn't simplified, we had to simplify it down to 1/2. We have to do the same thing here. So what you would do, in fact, is you do a factor tree of both the numerator and the denominator, and you eliminate common factors. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to go ahead and give the result of the factor tree. So 10,002, the numerator was a product of 2 times 3 times 941. And the denominator had factors 2, 3, and 1,667. So the 2's cancel, the 3's cancel. So we're left with 10,002, 941 all over 1,667. So that is the reduced mixed fraction of the quotient. So we've written the quotient in this form and in this form. So give that a try here with these two think, pair, share problems. I'll give you the answer for these so you'll know if you're doing it right. The first one should come out to 58,737 with a remainder of 2, or 58,737 and 1/2. That's the answer for the first one. The answer for the second one comes out to 1,067 with a remainder of 18, or 1,067 and 9/11. All right, give those two a try.